Hey everybody, welcome to my live stream. Okay, I am under sort of a deadline. I've definitely got to keep this to pretty close to an hour. I can go a little over, but I've got to keep it pretty close to an hour because I've got more stuff to do today. But forget all that. Today's prompt was muddy, and I've decided to try to illustrate Batman's enemy Clayface, who is a shapeshifter basically, and he's sort of made out of like liquid mud. So anyway, that's what I'm gonna try to do today, and hopefully end up with something kind of interesting. But yeah, sort of experimenting a little with exactly how this will develop. It'll be interesting to figure out. We'll figure it out together. All right, let's see. A bunch of folks already joining us. We've got Mycroft Holmes, J. Andrew World, and Mr. W. Hello to all of you. Thank you so much for dropping in. I appreciate that. So yeah, I am attempting to draw Clayface. My take on Clayface, anyway. And he's a shapeshifter, essentially. So I decided I'd sort of combine that idea with him being, or masquerading as Batman. Hello, Maxine Tanty and TARDIS Rider and Uncanny Kodiak. Your thing was of Clayface and I got worried. I literally just finished Clayface for Mud. Yeah, that is what I'm drawing, is Clayface. So anyway, hello, J Muse. You should have Dick Tracy on his tail. Yeah, I probably should. Are there any questions? Mine is a cool twist. Thank you. J. Andrew World says that he drew Muddy Waters, the blues performer. That's a great idea. I notice, if I'm remembering correctly, J. Andrew, that you've drawn several musicians for your illustrations this month. Was that an intentional theme, or is it just sort of a coincidence that you've ended up with those? Robert Blanchard joins us. I've unfortunately missed this stream a lot, but I'm glad I caught it this time. This seems relaxing and super interesting. Yeah, relaxing's probably a good term for this. And hello to Renato Ciola. Nice to, and if I don't pronounce your name correctly, everybody, please know that that's not disrespect. I'm doing my best guess in an environment where I'm not hearing anyone talk, so I'm trying, though. I'm trying. Sorry, there's some sirens obviously going on outside. Not quite sure what's going on. This is looking good. Well, thank you. I already read that, didn't I? I bet it's challenging if you're an artist on something like Batman to draw Bruce Wayne and make him recognizable and be sure that you're not drawing him to look too much like he could be somebody like Clark Kent, because I do feel that there's a lot of similarities between how those two characters are illustrated. Do you think Clayface should be in the DCEU? Yeah, absolutely. Clayface is awesome. Have you a favorite piece you've done so far this Inktober? Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I think I do. It's one of the ones that was sold. I think that Storm came out quite good. That was very much what I had in mind, and I was very happy with that. Yeah, I would say that's the one that so far I've been happiest with, for whatever reason. I'm just happy that they're selling, because yeah, that just really helps me right now. I was able to buy myself a new pair of sneakers yesterday, which I desperately needed, and for the fun of it, I also got myself a video game. And then aside from that, I'm trying not to go too nuts. Just sort of spend the rest on the show and my bills. Hello to Atomicus, and yeah, I decided I'd sell these for $50 a piece, and most of them sold, so that felt good. Yeah, I didn't announce it in the stream. I just sort of announced it on my social media, because I didn't actually expect there to be much of a response, and I lucked out. There actually was a pretty healthy response, so I was able to sell a bunch of them, which felt, yeah, it was nice. It was a good feeling to know that like some people enjoyed them enough that they wanted them. Maybe I'm naive. I sincerely didn't expect anything like that. And then, like, once I said the price, I figured everybody, or not everybody, I figured like some people might walk away, but so far, no, everybody has thought that that was fair, so yeah, I think that that's, right now it's like I'm not a professional or anything, but I am spending, at least an hour or so illustrating, so I feel like my time is worth that. Uh, you have to like sort of be respectful, I think, of your own time when it comes to artwork. And if it doesn't sell, then it doesn't sell. But you can't undercut yourself, or no one's ever going to take you seriously. Well, thank you, Mr. W. Appreciate the kind words. Let's see. XYZ Rob Zombie says, I thought of you today. I saw a homeless guy on the street and helped him out. Oh, dude, that's fantastic. Yeah, I feel for the homeless. I really do. Whenever I can, I give whatever money I have in my pocket to anyone I see on the street. You never know when somebody might be able to pull themselves out of their situation, because I have met some homeless people that have gotten themselves back on their feet, and they just need a little help, and they usually need it from the kindness of strangers, because so many people that end up homeless, it's more just due to some bad financial luck, and they just don't have a support system of family and close friends that could have, helped them. I've met a lot of really hardworking, talented, and smart homeless people. Now, of course, a lot of them also have mental illness here and there. And there's not a lot you can do in that situation, but I still would. There's still human beings, and personally, it's really important to me that they eat and they stay warm. So, yeah, I feel for people in that situation. One time, a homeless person gave you money, J. Andrew World. That's crazy. J. Muse says, oh, and hello to Nipper and Sigamigs and Chris Brewer. Bunch of new folks. That's awesome. J. Muse asks, I've heard you mention that you've worked in most aspects of the comics field. Is there one aspect of creating you enjoyed the most, least? I would say that the one I tend to enjoy the most is writing. And the one I enjoy the least... let me think for a minute. I mean, I'll tell you that I think that my strengths in coloring are probably the weakest. I mean, I think I feel very comfortable with Photoshop, and I just don't feel that I can create anything amazing coloring-wise. I can do okay. Depends on the project. Is there one that I like the least? I mean, it might actually be inking, which is why I'm sort of trying to get better at it, like with these streams, and something that I focus on. I think it's my least favorite because I don't like the results. I never really mind the work for any of it. You can just get frustrated with like the inability to get the results that you want. Are there other questions? Renato says, what's your favorite design for Storm? For me, it's the Mohawk Punk Storm. That is a fantastic design. I would say probably my favorite is either the Mohawk Storm when she was leading the Morlocks, or her original Dave Cockrum design. It feels very regal and beautiful. Hello, Philip Flores. I did get a chance to see the new Halloween. I did. I thought it was decent. Not amazing, but pretty good. I suppose it's probably the best of the sequels, in my opinion. Which is actually a fairly low bar to clear. While I've enjoyed a couple of the sequels, a lot of them are pretty terrible. Yeah, I was trying to decide whether, with my limited time to see Venom or Halloween, and I chose Halloween. So Venom's almost definitely going to have to wait until it hits like something like Netflix or Amazon or whatever for me. I am curious about it since it's done so well and it has pretty high audience scores, but just don't have the time to see it, so that one's gonna have to wait. Thank you, Faction Fusion. let's see. Nice coming in, Chris. I'll be going. Quest Cam is happening, and I'm trying to earn myself a scholarship. Well, that sounds really important. I don't know what Questcast. Oh, Questcast, not Quest Cam. Questcast. Not sure what that is, but certainly wish you lots and lots of luck. If it's for a scholarship, yeah, want that to work for you. If you haven't already, I recommend watching Daredevil Season 3. I've watched close to half of it, I want to say. I think I've seen the first 6 episodes at this point, and I'm really enjoying it, actually. I think it's really strong. I hope they don't drop the ball, but so far so good. Yeah, love what they did with Bullseye. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, seems to be a good show this year. I'm going to clean up some of my pencil in this one area just to sort of see how I want to continue to approach this. I think I need to layer in some more sort of like rolls of clay gunk to make this look good. Hey Shirley, hello Chris Brewer. Am I going to do Movember? Isn't Movember just growing like essentially a mustache and a beard and stuff? I mean, I'm already kind of there. I don't know what I'd grow. Yeah, this is working out okay so far. For health awareness, yeah, totally. Totally support Movember. Just don't know what I would be able to grow myself. Let's see, since it's a Batman theme tonight, what did you think of Batman White Knight? I loved it. Huge fan of Sean Gordon Murphy's artwork. Just think it's absolutely beautiful. So, yeah, huge fan. And it was a cool story. It was, I loved it. Maybe someday I'll have to do a episode about Sean Gordon Murphy. Why I like him so much. I don't know. What video game did you buy? I bought it's called Black Ops 4. I'm not gonna grow out my nose hairs, Shirley. How dare you? um, I find the giant hamburger behind you intriguing. Yeah, isn't that kind of cool? I think that was like a costume that Chrissy bought at the Halloween store after Halloween last year. Bought it real cheap, and I'm pretty sure she plans on sewing it up and filling it with fluff so that we have a gigantic hamburger pillow. No, I'm not going to grow my ear hairs either. Thanks. Hello, Jack Joya. Nice to see so many folks in the chat room. Thank you very much. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the questions. Keeps life interesting. Hey, I even appreciate the jokes at my expense. We can have fun. That's okay. WD says, what are you going to be for Halloween? I'm going to be working. No costume, no time. Hello to J. Andrew World's daughter. Thank you for watching. Is it cool having a dad who's an artist? Does he draw you whatever you want? She also lit up when you said hi to her. Well, hello again. Wow, a bunch of folks have just joined. We've got Lockjaw and Ellis Grieger and Scrent. Employer Cats to Grow Mustaches. Now that's thinking outside the box. Is that a giant spider behind you? Where? No, I don't think that there's any giant spiders behind me. Don't scare me like that. Thanks for letting me take a moment to fill in some little details here, and let's see what else is being asked about in the chat. Anything cool? A snake? Gulp? Yes, LS, I did see the Halloween movie. No spoilers from me. I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. Funny how I get some of the same questions every single stream, but I don't mind. Let's see. What's my favorite alcoholic beverage? That'd be gin and tonic. I specifically really like Bombay Sapphire. So if we're talking alcoholic drink, I'll go with a Bombay Sapphire tonic, and then after that, it would be something like a really, really nice Cabernet Sauvignon. Those are my personal favorites. That looks a bit like Two-Face. That's fair. I imagine it being like Clayface sort of shape-shifting into Bruce Wayne's form, but yeah, I mean, I given him one gross side of his face, so that makes sense that it looks a little like Two-Face. I get it. Let's see. Mike L joins us. That's awesome. People say sexual frustration makes you productive. Is that true? I don't know. That's an interesting question. I wonder. I mean, I have observed and actually, I guess, even experienced that, like, it's not quite sexual frustration, but like when you break up in one relationship, I do think that you tend to often throw yourself into work or working out or something like that. That's something people do. So maybe there is some correlation there. How do I decide where to put the reflected light versus the shadow? I'll be honest. I don't always know. It's more of sort of a guessing game for me. Um, what feels right. I feel like actually that's the biggest thing I'm trying to sort of learn here. It's not easy. We'll see what happens when I'm done. I'm probably making this drawing more complex than it needs to be, actually, because I don't know stuff like where to put the shadow right off the top, and I have to sort of keep doing it in drips and drabs instead of just going, like, knowing where I can block out some dark stuff. Um, that's something an experienced artist can do to speed the whole process up, and I'm still learning. So, excellent question. Excellent. Wish I had a better answer, but I'm learning as much as anybody watching this is learning from my mistakes or what I get right. What's he holding? This is his cowl, or at least Batman's cowl. What's today, Tuesday? I think it's Tuesday. Sometimes it can be so hard to remember what days of the week it is with my silly schedule. Hopefully, as I add some of this black, Batman's cowl starts to take shape and look a little more obvious as to what it is. I hope. Alas, poor Batman, I knew him well. That is sort of like, yeah, if only I had turned the cowl around so that he was actually looking at it, it would have looked a lot like Romeo holding Yorick's skull, right? Yeah. A man of infinite jest. What's your take on MS Paint artists? Should they even be considered artists at all? Sure, yeah. It's a poor artist who blames the tools. So whatever somebody can create with is fine by me. More power to them. What other questions do we have here? Ellis Krieger says, I watched the new John Constantine movie from DC Animated Studios. It was really good. That's cool. Constantine's a very interesting character. And relatively unique in terms of being sort of a supernatural detective. He seems to participate and know the occult much more than most paranormal investigators. All right. there's a difference between being calming and just being too quiet and just doing the art. I'm probably towing that line pretty closely. What else? Did you ever find a good restaurant in Seattle? Yeah, I'm still on the lookout for that. That's a cool question. How long do you spend on pencils before turning the camera on and inking? Not very long at all. Maybe 15 minutes or so, tops. Excuse me. Hamlet, not Romeo. Jesus, thank you, TARDIS Rider. I guess I'm a little tired after all. Hello to WD's miniature horse. Clarence Brown says, I love Steve McNiven, but I think Dexter Vine inks are better over his work. I didn't like Steve's Nemesis inks. He's very Barry Windsor Smith these days. That's fair. Inkers are too underrated. Man, that's the truth. That is the truth. No, Lockjaw, I didn't see the Judas Contract movie. I'd be interested, but I didn't see it. I can't recognize this character, says Foof. Who is it? It's Clayface. Maybe when I sort of give him this big muddy paw, it'll start making a little more sense. Taco time. I love taco time. Hello, Django Fett. Letters are underrated too. No question there. Constantine hasn't translated to other media. He had a TV show and a movie that both bombed. Well, I don't think that the movie necessarily bombed. It wasn't a very literal adaptation, but I kind of liked the Keanu Reeves movie. I thought that spiritually it kind of got the heart of the character, even if it like changed certain details. I kind of liked the Constantine movie, and the Constantine TV show wasn't a big enough hit for NBC at the time, but you know, the CW picked him up, and now he's on what do you call it? He's a cast member, full cast member of Legends of Tomorrow this season. So I mean, he never really quite went away there. Constantine movie is underrated. I feel like it's underrated too. It's if you're looking for a very literal interpretation of Constantine, it doesn't quite hit the mark, but I don't think it's a bad movie. You know what I'm saying? It's still an entertaining movie out of what it is. At least in my opinion, I thought it was pretty cool. Well, nothing wrong with eating a sandwich, Foof. Do you usually work in quiet spaces, or do you crank up the music player from time to time? I don't tend to listen to music when I draw. What I really like are spoken word things. So I'll turn on the news when I can deal with it, basically. And I really love podcasts, especially humor podcasts. So that's more what I would like after Inktober, when I'm sort of working on artwork more whenever is convenient for me, and I'm just sort of doodling, I'll generally turn on a good podcast. That's my favorite distraction. Every once in a while, I suppose I can do music, but the problem is when I hear music I like, I kind of like get distracted and I want to sing along and stuff, and so it makes it harder to focus and keep doing my work. uh, it's a little similar, honestly, to doing these live streams. Like, I go very slowly. I can either get quiet when I start to draw, or I can just start engaging in a story and stop drawing. I need something that lets me lose myself, and that's usually spoken word. Oh, good news. I played Mega Millions, so tonight when those numbers are draw, I'm going to become a billionaire. So that's pretty cool. We'll see. Harmontown and No Sleep are my go-to podcasts. Awesome. You must have loved the recent Harmontown where he had on. Who is that guy that does No Sleep? The Canadian guy. His name's eluding me all of a sudden. I keep thinking Aaron Mankey, but that's lore. Clarence says, I wanted to be a comic artist. I've been getting around to drawing for 20 years. Well, if you want to be an artist, you got to draw pretty much every day, but it's never too late. Keep drawing. Gantris joins. Hello. Recommends a podcast called Speech Bubble. They talk about animation and comics a lot. Oh, okay. That sounds cool. So why's he got like 3 fingers on the right hand? Because he's a clay monster man. And actually, he might end up having more fingers. I'm not sure yet. I'll give him like 3. Hello to Graphite Grappler. Have I seen Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street? No, I have not, actually. I have not seen that. What's my favorite brand of toilet paper and why? I'm terrible at remembering things like that. All I know is that I need a good amount of, I don't want just something like a 2-ply. I want something kind of soft. About all I can think of, but as far as the brand names, I always forget what they are. So I just sort of get whatever looks like it's a good price that's also kind of high quality. But you can't go too soft or it just sort of falls apart all over the place, and that sucks. Great question, Chrissy. Definitely something I think that listeners, viewers want to know about. What kind of toilet paper do I like? Great question. I like the Marvel Comics toilet paper that I have in my contest giveaway. I believe I've gotten some entries. I have to go get my mail soon. So was Clayface created on Batman the Animated Series or in the comics? He was created in the comics, and the one that they primarily used in the animated series was actually the fourth Clayface. The first Clayface was just an actor who wore a mask. He had no superpowers at all. He was just a killer. The second one and the third ones were each sort of like sort of clay monsters, as I recall, that like wore some sort of suit, kind of like Mr. Freeze does. And then the fourth one was the shape-shifting one, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been a long time since I've read up on Clayface, a long time. But there are at least 4 Clayfaces. Do I play Pokemon? Do you mean like, I play like the Pokemon Go a tiny bit, but I honestly keep forgetting to play. So, I like it, but I tend to keep forgetting to play. I didn't see season 2 of Harmon Quest. I was honestly a bit disappointed with season 1. Well, yeah, I think Harmon Quest is pretty entertaining, but I think that it's more entertaining when they actually play D&D on the podcast itself. Like they have like a little more time and a little more like regular characters. But yeah, I wish that they would actually play D&D on the podcast a little more, because usually that stuff can make me laugh really hard. It was really good for a really long time. These days they sort of play it pretty infrequently. But I would say overall that Harmontown is my favorite podcast. It's the one I listen to first when I've got multiple podcasts ready. And yeah, I don't know. I've said before, Dan Harmon is, for whatever reason, like a creator that just really speaks to me. I really like his work, and I really relate to him. Like, so I don't know. He's just one of my favorites. And I did discover him through comics because of his work helping out on Scud, the disposable assassin, back in the day. But that said, I love hearing what other people like for podcasts, because there's so many good ones out there. I feel like I want to listen to a good true crime podcast, and I feel like I've listened to a bunch of them at this point, so I don't really know what one to listen to next. But when they're done well, I do enjoy a good true crime podcast. Uh, the Dollop. No, I don't know what the Dollop is. I'm afraid I've never heard of that one. You'll have to describe it to me a little. I can't even guess what that would be about. Dollop sounds like maybe cooking or something, but that also seems like an unlikely recommendation. Oh yeah, the Wolverine podcast. That's right. That thing got nominated for a lot of awards. A lot of people say that that's a really well done podcast. I haven't heard it. It is interesting that like podcasts have sort of like gone back to radio serial dramas and stuff like that. Just fascinating how we've all sort of moved on from radio being like the defining entertainment to all, but at the same time, we're now using those techniques and entertainment forms more than we have in decades. That's what I'm just talking about. How like we now use radio techniques to create sort of podcasts is also what makes me feel like comics will never go away. Like once a form of media has been invented, it's never going to go away. It'll just evolve and adapt. Sharpie butts a lot and I remember those characters, Mike L. My favorite murder for a podcast recommendation. Yeah, I've listened to a little of it, but I feel like it was sort of hit and miss because it's sort of always a different topic. I really love investigative ones that focus on like a one crime and really hardcore break it down. That's some of my favorite stuff when it's done well. Up and Vanished was the most recent one that really caught my interest, but that was actually a few months ago at this point. Season 1 of Serial was pretty fascinating, but almost everybody's listened to that one. Yeah, I've heard about that potential Dread TV series. We'll see if that's any good. Evil Genius. I did watch that, Ellis Krieger. That one was really disturbing. That one. What disturbed me about that was finding out that they had made that terrible comedy movie with Jesse Eisenberg and Aziz Ansari and like uh, what else? Danny McBride and stuff. And I was like, well, that looked like a dumb comedy, but whatever. It's over. And then I found out that it was based on a real life like murder, and I was just like, and not only just a murder, but like a really disturbing one. And I was just like, who the hell thought that that was good material for a comedy movie. That must have been so depressing and upsetting to like family and friends of the victims. Or victim anyway, I guess. If you're not familiar, Evil Genius is about some people that strapped a bomb around a pizza delivery guy's neck and ordered him to rob a bank, actually a series of banks, and when he couldn't do it in time, because he was caught like pretty much right away, the bomb went off in front of everybody, and like it was on like live TV. Pretty horrific, you know? And then they went and made a comedy movie about that. I think it was called 30 Minutes or Less. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Did Clayface ever find out Batman's identity? I don't think so, Perth Comics. I just was imagining that as a scenario. As far as I know, he's never done that. But in this scenario, I just sort of imagined this being maybe like, you know, a last panel reveal type situation. That like, hey, Batman isn't Batman, it's Clayface. I don't know. The prompt was muddy. I decided I wanted to do Clayface, and then instead of just drawing Clayface, I decided I sort of wanted to draw him mid-reveal, because Clayface can shapeshift. You know, it's probably only an okay interpretation or something, but it's fun for me to illustrate. I heard about this. Oh, thank you, Mr. W. That's really nice. I don't have TV anymore. I canceled it. I just couldn't afford that. So, but you know what? That's fine because I'm busy enough that I don't need to watch lots of TV. But I heard about this reality show on TLC that just sounds so insane. I'm like fascinated by it. It's called like 90 Day Fiance, and I think it's all about people that are like getting their potential like brides from foreign countries, so they get like a 90-day visa to make sure that they want to make it work. And it just sounds like so fascinatingly messed up and depressing. These people that they've found for the show. I don't know. It sounds interesting. Does anyone here happen to watch H3H3, Ethan and Hila? Because on their latest podcast, Ethan broke it down, and that guy cracks me up. I really, really, really like. I've only discovered that semi-recently, but I really do find Ethan very funny. He reminds me a lot of like Howard Stern when he riffs. Anyway, that's where I heard about it. 90 Day Fiance sounded like a very stressful show to watch because of like the sort of losers that they've got. Everything on TLC is staged. Yeah, I think that it is pretty hokey. I think that I don't think it's all acting. I think that like the producers push the people into situations where they're pretty sure they know what is going to happen. That's interesting that my video keeps lagging. I'm showing a really healthy, strong signal right now. Like it gives me the live data, and I've got like, you know, full green. You know, I'm not showing that I have any problems. So I'm sorry if it's lagging. As far as anything I can do on my end, it looks normal. Since you mentioned Stern, which would you choose, Opie and Anthony or Stern? Stern, definitely. Opie and Anthony, at least one, I forget who is who. I didn't listen to them much. One of them was like flat out racist, right? Got himself fired. Didn't actually both of them get themselves fired? Anyway, I could be a little wrong, but I'm pretty sure that that's what I heard back in the day. It's been a few years. I feel like you don't hear about either of them anymore. What was the last comic that really knocked you off your keister? Um, Great question. Let me think. The last one that really surprised me might have been well, you know, it might have been the Archie comics. That's sort of why I did that episode about it. I didn't expect that to be anything that amazing, but personally, I ended up really liking it. So yeah, that was probably the last one that like surprised me. You know, like surprised me by how good it was. Because you know, I love somebody like Ed Brubaker, but Kill or Be Killed, I expect to be great, and it was great. Oh, anyway, it's early for drawing. Slow day? Not at all a slow day, Brian A. It's a day off work. I'm trying to get a lot of stuff done, and basically, oh shoot, that I'm actually running up. Yeah, I can't work on this too much longer because I've got to film some stuff for comic tropes, and I'm getting help on that like around 5, so my time Pacific. So I'm coming right up on what I'm able to do for now. Darn, I was really hoping to do a bunch more. Um, at the same time, you probably get where this is going, so it's probably getting kind of boring just seeing me fill in black areas. I don't know. Um, so I can only stay a few more minutes. So if you've got any deep burning questions that you've ever wanted to ask me, definitely put them in there now. I'm going to try to glance up a couple times to catch as much as I can. And I hope you'll understand. I just, yeah, I've been doing this for an hour and I wanted to do more, but it actually is a pretty busy day. Let's see. Guess you won't be in Hoodie Coco's channel tonight. Shoot, that's right. Hoodie Coco's about to start. I might pop in and out. YouTube crossover? I don't know what that refers to, Ellis Grieger. I'm sorry, I missed something, I think. See you, TARDIS Rider. Do you have Halloween Inktober live stream subject picked yet? Nope. Haven't really thought too far ahead, Perth Comics. Each day I'm deciding that day. Thank you for the compliment, C. Kim. That means a lot. Let's see. Oh, okay. Gantris has been binging comic tropes. I've heard that several times. That's cool. Good luck on Mega Millions tonight, everyone. If you win, adopt me. Yeah. Hello, son of a red shirt. Yeah. Thanks for the stream. No problem. You're an awesome, kind, simple guy. Yes, I'm very simple up here. I'm glad I make you happy, though. That's awesome. Tomorrow is Chop. Chop. Well, let's see. All right, and Foof's professor was a no-show, so he doesn't have to go to class right now. That's great. Chop makes me think of two things. One, obviously, like sort of food preparation, and two, you know, like a karate chop. So I feel like I could go with martial arts, or I could go with like blades. Both would be reasonable options. Let's see. That is a tough one. Maybe I'll do Iron Fist. Maybe I'll do Iron Chef. I used to love the original Iron Chef from Japan. Oh my god, my friend and I would stay up so late watching reruns of that when it first debuted. Big fan of that version. What else could chop be? I'll have to give this some serious thought. Nothing's breaking into my head as like a must draw option yet. But I'll think of something. Iron Chef was dope. I hope 300 million people win the lottery tonight. I hope I do. And I'll help 300 million people. I watch too much Food Network. I miss having Food Network sometimes. And all the other channels. Sometimes. I mean, Chop could also sort of, I mean, it is Halloween and I love horror, so I could always go with another, what do you call it, another slasher, killer, monster or something. That's never a bad option. This is challenging. See, the thing is, I've already done Freddy Krueger and Pinhead, and I don't know what else I'd be passionate about illustrating. I'll think of something. Well, I was definitely hoping, of course, to do my usual thing of dropping in a bunch of gray, but I just don't have the time to do that tonight, unfortunately. Alright, I'll take a look in a second to see if there were any cool last minute questions submitted. You never know. Chew, yeah, alright. The guy on Iron Chef used to do martial arts movies. Well, you're thinking of American Iron Chef and Mark Dacascos, I think, which is true. But the version I loved was the original Japanese version. I kind of fell out of love with it when it became American. It wasn't quite the same. It wasn't quite the same energy or same reviews. It's not bad. I just didn't love it as much. Let's see. Jason Voorhees. Jason Voorhees is always an option. Alf as a drawing? What's that got to do with Chop? I'm missing something. But I do like Alf, so who knows. How about the guy from Iron Chef making lamb chops while listening to the Ramones Chop Suey? I like that. Iron Comics? I don't know Iron Comics, I'm afraid, Clarence. I'd have to look that up. Wolverine, Grim Reaper. Yep, those are both cool ideas. Iron Chef Sakai. Focus on. Yes, Oda, take it. Yes, I talked to Iron Chef Sakai, and he said he wants to use vegetables, but not in the traditional way. Okay, thank you, Oda. That was the kind of back and forth play-by-play they used to have. It was so tense. I loved how tense it was. A la cuisine! I did an episode of Comic Tropes where I bite into like a pepper, I think, and I cannot remember which one, but it was definitely a tiny homage to the original Iron Chef. Like there's some episode out there where I know I just sort of go and bite into a pepper. Maybe it was one of my first episodes. I really can't remember. I just sort of remembered that I did that at one point. But yeah. Yeah, I remember the movie where he's co-starred with Coolio too. I think that wasn't that a Hong Kong movie, where they were like having a big fight on a pane of glass that was balanced by a crane above a work construction site. I think I'm remembering that right. That might have been Mark Dacascos. I might be mispronouncing his name slightly. I did like him in Brotherhood of the Wolf, but that was a good movie overall. So I won't finish it, but I'm just going to sort of loosely drop in this big shadow here on his big arm. And hopefully you at least get a little bit of an idea of what I was going for. Wish I had more time to flesh this all out. I'm definitely staying past what I meant to because I'm just having a good time drawing and talking to everyone. Well, anyway. All right, see ya, Foof. Oh, that's right. Mark Dacascos was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He was some sort of a supervillain or something, wasn't he? I almost forgot about that. Anyway, didn't have time to do quite as much as I hoped, but you know, I think I got the idea of it. The most important thing to me was sort of like, you know, up here, and then I was just gonna have fun with like shading and texture on the mud arm and shading and texture on like the armor plating. So you know that's fun, but not as important to just sort of getting the idea out there. Could add more texture to this cape and have it draped down back here. Could add like some highlights with like some grays on like parts of this armor to sort of separate it into like important parts. Give that all some texture. But hopefully you sort of get it, like what I was going for. And I had fun, and I had fun talking to everybody out there. So tomorrow's word is chop. As of right now, that sort of stumps me. Don't have a great idea yet, but I look forward to figuring out a good idea. Can't think of anything else to say other than I'm hard at work on the last Comic Tropes of October. The last sort of horror-themed episode. I think everybody will enjoy it. It's probably going to be new to most people, what I'm talking about. Not too many people. Some of you may have heard of it. I don't think a lot of you will have read it. Those episodes don't always tend to get huge views. I mean, the Archie episode isn't getting like massive views, but I don't care. To me, it's more important to still do like just interesting episodes that people aren't thinking of, so that like when new viewers come along and they binge, they're like, oh, this, you know, I tried it for, you know, hearing about Jim Lee or something, but I stuck with it because it taught me all sorts of other things. And anyway, that's what you can expect. Captain Kirk doing a judo chop. Now that's a fun idea, but I've already done like two what do you call them? two Star Trek characters. Maybe I'll draw One Punch Man. I don't think my style lends itself too well to One Punch Man, but that would be fun. No, Clarence Brown wasn't in Highlander. You're thinking of Clancy Brown. All right, so I am definitely taking off, folks. I'm running a little late, but it was worth it to spend some time with all of you. Hey, why don't you remember to keep reading comics? And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.